everybody, and welcome to another great episode of My EdTech Life. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Saturday, wherever in the world you may be, whether it's Saturday morning, Saturday evening, or you're maybe well into Sunday, wherever in the world. As usual, thank you so much for making My EdTech Life part of your day. As always, I am thankful for all of your support. Thank you so much for sharing our podcast. Thank you so much for sharing our videos, our clips, for following us on social media. That really means a lot to us, and all of those wonderful reviews. Thank you so much. As always, we strive for excellence and bringing you some of the best content that is out there to inspire you, to help you innovate, and most importantly, as always, our mission and vision and passion to connect the education world, whether you're an educator, education professional, along with the creator world, one show at a time. And I am excited about today because our guests, or my guests today, I should say, are not only wonderful educators, they are now education professionals, but they are also amazing creators, as you will see what it is that they're creating for the world to take part of. So I'm just really excited to welcome back to the show for the second time the amazing and wonderful eTwinz. How are you all this morning?
Hello,
Hello, everyone.
this time in English. First time was in Spanish. Now we've switched to English. So I'm Mario,
I'm Alberto.
and as you can see, we are twins. We were teachers, and now we have made the transition to full-time consultants.
And we're super excited to be here and for this new stage of our life. Right now we are in Spain, so it is 4 p.m. here. It's siesta time. So it's gonna be great. We're super excited to be here. So thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. We've got Dr. Matthew Joseph joining us. He tells you all to crush it. And we've got Melissa Summerford, also fellow Google innovator. Thank you so much for joining. And of course, oh, here we go. It says here, it is fun making the change. There you go. All right. Well, Melissa, well, thank you so much as always. And of course, yes, the first show was in Spanish. This next show, we're doing it in English. And that's the beautiful part about language, which is something that we will get into a little later with the eTwinz. But before we start, for all our guests, maybe some of them may not be aware yet of the wonderful work that you're doing, or follow you on Twitter or on Instagram, as many educators are now starting to see the value of social media to connect. Can you please tell us just a little bit of a background, as far as your context in education, and then of course we'll get into what you're currently doing. So we'll go ahead and start with Mario this time. So Mario, tell us a little bit about the background of the eTwinz.
So we graduated from college in Spain, like many years ago. Well, 10 years ago ish.
Yeah.
So graduated from college, and after that we got an opportunity that is pretty much like a grant, like a scholarship, that we could do our practicum in USA. So
It was like an internship.
it was like an internship. So we did our internship in Utah, and after that we got hired. And we got hired as Spanish teachers in a Spanish immersion program. So that means that we used to teach every single subject in Spanish, like math, science, history, Spanish, of course, all of that.
That would be weird.
Yeah, that'd be weird if we taught Spanish in English. But yeah. And then we started our career in Utah. And then with the years, over the years, we started to receive awards, and we started to receive a lot of recognitions. So we were like, okay, maybe, what we are doing here, it's great.
So
and maybe we can share all of this with other people.
So we realized that we have something to share with other people to help them to grow as educators. That's why we founded the eTwinz consulting firm like 3-4 years ago already, and we started to share our passion with the world.
And then the consulting part started to grow a lot, and then we ended up having 2 full-time jobs. So we decided to just make a decision that it wasn't sustainable working 12, 14 hours per day. So we needed to make a decision, and we made the decision to make that transition.
Excellent. That is wonderful. And, for myself, seeing you all on social media and, the great things that you were doing, I had no idea you were doing both at one time. And because, I would see the great things that you were doing in the classroom. And then, of course, seeing you all at presentations. And of course, when we went virtual, I mean, I was seeing you everywhere and the great things that you're doing. But, I'm very, very happy for you. And as that growth, that experience that you had, that journey that you had coming in from Spain, working in Utah, and just, bringing that knowledge here, gaining some more knowledge, and now
Mhm.
just sending it out there and putting it out there for everybody has been wonderful. And I'm really excited too that I had the honor and the pleasure to meet you in real life at TCEA this
PCA.
last year in February. And it was just an amazing experience, because I just want to say to anybody that's going to be listening to the show that the way that you are right now is the way that you are with everybody in person, just authentic and genuine. And that really, it means a lot that, you are the same when I interview you and you are the same in person, because oftentimes, it's two different worlds. Sometimes it's two different personas. But thank you so much for just being authentic and genuine, and for your passion for education and bringing all those wonderful programs and projects that you do, and of course the advocacy that you're doing. So I'm really excited about that. So right now, you were telling me, and I just want to, dig in a little deeper, because right now, like you said, you are currently in Spain, and it's siesta time, but currently right now, you were telling me you're in a small little town, and tell me a little bit about how that transition is, or actually, how does it feel to be back home for a little bit and just reconnect with your family? How has that helped you, just mentally, physically, all those elements to just connect again with family?
So
Family is very important for us.
to give a little background where
Yeah.
we are in a town. Well, it's not even a town, I would say. Like 75 people live here. So there's no stores around in this town. There's pretty much nothing. So if you want to buy something, you have two options. Option number one, drive for 20 minutes. Option number two, just wait, because there's like a van that
Every morning or every other day.
it comes here, goes to the main square of this little town, and then like the van sells, I don't know, like if you want bread or veggies or fruits, they have everything. So like this van opens the door, and then everyone from the village goes to the main square to buy stuff.
It's a great experience. So this is our
This
parents'
is where we
country house, and it is where we come when we want to check out from work or relax. We always come here. Even if our parents are here or not, this is our spot to check out from work or just relax, because it is so calm. No one is here. You can just check out, go for a walk, or relax in the patio, or like we really love this place, and it's where we come when we need to relax. So check out
just
from work.
relax, lay down, read a lot, just disconnect, check out. It's amazing.
We love to read. We are reading the whole day. So here it's just so calm and great too. It's a great reading place.
Oh,
It's been
that's
an
wonderful.
adjustment to be back to Spain, as always. To answer your question, it's always an adjustment. Even we're from here, but we used to come just for a couple months every year, and it's not the same to come here for vacation than come here to live. And we love it so much. We really, really appreciate family. It's super important in our life, and friends as well. They're the happiest possible.
And that's always great, and that's wonderful. Like I said, it's just, family is just so important when you get to disconnect. And you said it's very important to take that time and to disconnect, and just really work on yourself and just relax and disconnect by doing things that you are passionate about. And so oftentimes people say, it's like, man, it's like you're always working, you've got your regular job, and then you're doing this on the weekends. But actually, this is like being in my office and doing this is my disconnect, because I get to talk with people and learn from other educators, and just to continue my passion and my drive to better my practice by learning from the best. So yeah, this is my passion. I'm one of those, I can't really sit still or be reading a lot. I always need to just be very active. But yeah, it's great to be able to disconnect and do those things. So let's talk now about this major project. I know you had this going on for the last couple of years. You said you were doing the consulting, you were doing the regular school job as well, but now you're going full force with the consulting. And so I remember you reaching out to me, and you've got this great project that you're going to be doing, and you're sharing, which is the Language Academy. So tell us a little bit about where that kind of came from, what sparked that specific academy. So let's go ahead and Alberto, we'll start with you, Alberto.
Okay, so pretty much we are full-time consultants now, but also we created our Spanish Academy. So pretty much our eTwinz education company firm has two pillars. The first pillar is the education consulting part, and the second pillar is the language academy. So we've been teaching Spanish for the last 8 years, and we've realized that the way that the Spanish is taught is not the way we think it should be taught. Like to learn a language for us means something else that go to a place to listen at the teacher how to use the grammar of the language. So we one day we were talking about it and we said, okay, why not we do what we like the most, which is keep teaching Spanish in our own institution. In that way, we create the curriculum, we create the rules, we create the approach we want to use. So we've been working in this project for the last couple of years, designing the curriculum, designing the approach behind it, designing like all these little details that makes the difference. So we've been working on that for the last couple of years. And last month or a couple of months ago, we launched it. It was like end of June, I think. We launched the academy, and we pretty much work with two type of clients, which are, Mario?
So well, before that, I would like to point out like how important the culture is for us, because like it's not just about like teach a language, it's to teach the culture behind the language. We always say that you cannot fully understand a language if you don't understand the culture behind the language. Like it's even with the Spanish, like if you go to Mexico, like the type of communication, it's not the same that if you go to Spain. Like there are different rules, there are different culture, and you need to learn that to be able to fully understand what you're talking about. So that cultural piece is missing in pretty much every single classroom around the world that wants to teach Spanish. So we have incorporated that cultural part into our academy with cultural classes like cooking classes, dancing classes, virtual field trips. We want to incorporate all of that culture. So for example, like if we are learning about like a vocabulary or like how to communicate in a supermarket, so we're gonna go to the supermarket, buy stuff, and then we're gonna cook at home. You're learning Spanish, but then you're learning some Spanish recipes as well. So it's the full experience.
More like a holistic way of teaching a language.
Yeah, like a real world holistic way to do it. And what Alberto was saying before, like we want to focus this on two different clients, like individuals around the world. Like if someone in, I don't know, USA or Australia or China or Germany wants to learn Spanish, they can sign up for our academy. Or then like institutions, let's say that there's a district or a school in, I don't know, Texas, for example. Well, it's not a good example, but like, I don't know, Kentucky, for example, that they cannot find any Spanish speakers, like native Spanish speakers, to teach Spanish. So they can hire our academy, kind of a way to externalize that language department. So that's the main idea.
And what I love that you said, even myself growing up here in Texas, and I'm deep South Texas, I'm along the side of the border for Mexico. So Spanish was my very first language. And I didn't learn English until I was in probably second grade or so, that I started becoming a little bit more fluent. But I never thought about this, but I mean, the way that I learned English was really I had to immerse myself in the culture. So I was watching a lot of English TV, like Sesame Street. I was watching, a lot of TV shows like The Price is Right, a lot of game shows. I was watching a lot of what are they called, like Guiding Light. Oh my gosh, that's coming to my mind. I can't think of what they're called, but telenovelas. I forget what they were called in English, like
like soap operas.
Yeah, those shows. And so for me, that's the way that I learned. So I had to immerse myself. But I love that you said that the importance of culture, because a lot of that practice that you're using and that you're speaking about for Spanish class is something that is very important, to really make those connections, and those deep connections, to really understand why we're communicating that certain way, or why we're using these type of words, or gestures and things of that sort, so we know. And that, I think it's something that can be used in any classroom, which is bringing in that culture, that diversity, and seeing things from different lenses, and that multicultural approach to education is something that is great to make those real world connections and understanding why we do things a certain way. So I absolutely love that piece. And I want to add, like Melissa here, who's joining us from Facebook, she says, she took 2 years of high school Spanish, and that did not help much, because
Yeah.
I took Spanish just because it was going to be an easy A and I needed a language course. But you really they don't immerse you too much in that. It's just really, hear your vocabulary words. This is what you're going to recite. You're going to write 10 sentences, and that's it. So I love all the components that you're talking about: the cooking, you're talking about the dancing, you're talking about, interactions in the supermarket, and you're immersing the student in that culture. And that is something phenomenal. So I love that.
And then the how Spanish is taught in the States is what we know, probably around the world too, is very very focused on writing and reading,
Like
very
the
much.
grammar.
Yeah, like grammar. But that's not gonna help you to communicate. So like the main goal of language is communication. So like why do we focus on, for example, to say um, yo ver, for example, yo ver la televisión. That's wrong. Like grammatically, like that's not correct. The verb is not correct. But are you communicating? Yes. So if you go to Spain and you say yo ver la televisión, they are going to understand you, even if it's not correct. So we should focus more on that communication. That's what we are doing. And after that, we will fix those little grammar mistakes. But we need to focus on communication and to build that confidence, to be able to speak. That's very hard.
For us, a language is the way to send a message to a listener, and the listener understand what you are saying. You are accomplishing what you want to do with a language. Then we will just work on those grammar mistakes. But if the listener is getting the message right and the meaning of the message, you're accomplishing what you want with a language. So that's kind of like an idea in our academy, like working on that communication piece that it is missing around the world when you teach a language.
So we've created like a flipped classroom model, and we do it the opposite. So there's 1 hour where it's independent work, where you are going to learn about all the grammar, all of that stuff, right? Like about verbs, all of that is in the previous learning. So just by yourself, we have created content, we have created different things where you're going to learn all of that. And when you come to our face-to-face class, to the actual class, we are not going to focus on grammar at all. We're going to focus on communication, on how to use everything you've learned previously to be able to communicate accordingly. So like we are spending 100% of the class time in communication and in real examples, not just in grammar and all of that you actually can learn by yourself. Like you don't need like sometimes like a teacher with you to tell you, the structure of a sentence and all of that. If you create a good content, you can learn that by yourself and then go to the class to use that in a real world example.
In a
meaningful environment.
That's great. I want to add here what Mel said. Mel, who's joining us from Colombia, by the way. So Mel, of course, it says she spent a month in Argentina for vacation, and that was definitely an interesting experience with her Spanish. But yes, communication is number one, and I doubt my grammar is that great. And Melissa, of course, sending like how everything sounds amazing as far as the way that you have structured the course. And, this is what I love, that, with education, innovation is not very far away. And, what you're doing is really, you're taking what I learned and what I know as Spanish, Spanish class in high school, and probably the same Spanish type of class that Melissa took, where it was just strictly writing and just preparing sentences and things of that sort. But taking it to that next level is really something that is great and wonderful and very innovative. And even as far as adult learners, really helps us to still make those connections. And I love that aspect of it, that hands-on approach to everything that you're saying, and the modality that you're bringing, which I think is something that is wonderful and very beneficial to all types of learners. And so I'm really excited about this project that you've got going on. So tell us a little bit more as far as now, how you're expanding. I know, like you said, now you're doing the consulting full time. Right now you're based in Spain. So are you focusing a lot of that piece too on that online asynchronous approach, as opposed to doing like the one-on-one face to face, so tell us a little bit about that.
So we're based in Spain right now, but we're gonna keep working with a lot of institutions from the United States. So you can go to our website and check our upcoming events. So we are gonna go to United States like pretty much every month to participate in different events, to facilitate trainings, to do coaching in different districts and schools.
Actually, next month we'll be in Texas, in Houston.
So we'll be there. So pretty much we're gonna be out, traveling a lot to the States to keep in touch with those clients, those our community in the United States, and then we're gonna try to expand our business here in Europe and Middle East. But we're gonna keep working with a lot of people in the States because that's where our business was born, and we want to keep in touch with those people that we've been working for so many years.
And then same with the academy. Like our plan is, and we have different students from USA and like other places around the world. So the only bad part of that is the time change. That we have some classes at 8 p.m. 9 p.m.,
2 a.m.
2 a.m., because with those clients, those students in Asia and all of that. But we always say that if you want something, you need to work for that. So it's very, very important to just work as hard as we can. And even if we need to wake up at 2 a.m. one day, it's totally fine.
I love that. And I love that work ethic, that connection that you have. And you're absolutely right, servicing all of your wonderful students everywhere, because again, there's a lot of need everywhere. And of course with Spanish. So let me, and this is a question that I kind of skipped, but I want to know, as far as Spanish is concerned, is this one of those languages that you're seeing that, is really expanding all around the world, at least from what I've heard and what I've understood from a friend of mine who actually took a trip to Paris, and they said, I speak English, but I found that when I spoke Spanish, people kind of looked at her a little bit different and were a little bit, maybe I would say, kinder than, to those that she saw when they were speaking English and so on. So I want to understand, as far as, because I'm not in Europe, I haven't visited Europe, but in your area, do you see that Spanish is really taking off and growing?
Yeah, we see that in Europe, but especially we were super surprised when we started working with China. Like there are many people from China that want to learn Spanish.
Asia in general.
It's just like, it is crazy, like the amount of people that want to learn Spanish around the world. And as Mario was saying, like we get with people from all over the world with this crazy schedule that we have right now. But that means that the Spanish is expanding like crazy. And now I think a lot of people start learning a new language during the pandemic, when they couldn't go out, when they stay at home, because they needed to fill their time with something, right? They need to just use their time to do something because they were stuck at home. So a lot of people started to learn a new language during that time. And then I think that was the beginning of something of this growth of Spanish and other languages, because people started in the pandemic and now they're continuing that, and more people are just kind of like jumping into learning a new language.
But I don't think it's all, that's super important, but I think there's this other trend that like a lot of people are learning Spanish. I don't know why, but like people and the society is giving languages more importance than before. And probably it is because now we work in a global world even more, and like people work globally. Like you can have in the same company, even in the same department, people from USA, Argentina, Europe, and Thailand, like just working closely in the same department. Sometimes you need English, but sometimes if you want to reach those new clients that you can reach now and you couldn't reach like 20 years ago, you need a new language. and it could be Spanish or French or like any other language, Portuguese. So I think people are starting to realize in the society that languages now are more important than ever, because it's not just for vacation or just to go to a Spanish restaurant or Mexican restaurant and order in Spanish. Like if you actually want to reach new clients or if you want to expand your business, it's super, super important that you speak more than one language.
Or even for traveling, a lot of people like are learning a new language because they want to start traveling and be immersed in the culture, because using the language that you of the country you travel to, that opens a lot of doors for you, opens you the possibility to engage with that local community more than if you just speak English.
And the flexibility to work from everywhere. We have some students that like they are in our academy learning Spanish because they want to move to South America, because they work online, or they want to move to Spain because they're gonna work online remotely. So like now you can work from everywhere. Why not work from a different place and have a great experience? Like a new adventure. So we are seeing that being a trend, and we really think that like it's gonna even grow more in the future.
Yeah. And I see that, like you said, it's very important, that global connection. And as a matter of fact, what was it, 2 days ago, I had a little meeting with a gentleman who was asking just some things about podcasting. And he reached out to me on WhatsApp through a Spanish group that I'm part of. And he was reaching out to me in Spanish on WhatsApp. So we were going back and forth. But then when we met, he was talking perfect English. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm from New Jersey, but I live in Tlaxcala." So he's working out of Mexico, and he's doing some tech work over there for a business. But he's in education, but he also does English classes in Mexico. And I was like, this is something that is amazing. And it just kind of with what you were saying, where you don't know I mean, the possibilities and the doors that open up by knowing a second or a third language, where you can actually, it can take you where you can work from, and where you can go ahead and even continue to grow and help those around you in that community. As you learn their languages and their cultures, they learn a little bit about your language, your culture as well. And it just becomes that, connectedness. And that's the amazing part of just being able to connect globally. So yeah, I agree with you 100% on the importance of languages now, and the ease of use now, as far as, your academy and resources and the work that you all are doing. It's, PD at your fingertips. Like my friend Josh Tovar says, there really isn't an excuse out there, because there's so much information that is out there. So that's wonderful that you're doing all that work. Now, aside from the Spanish, academy that we've been focusing on, what are, like, for anybody that's going to be listening and rewatching this, what other services do you offer through the eTwinz consulting service?
So we focus pretty much everything, like digital transformation is our main focus. But like I would say that what makes us a little different is that we don't focus in the tool. Like we've seen many, many times webinars, like the 10, 20 best tools for blank, whatever. So we really run away from that perspective. We don't think, I mean, it's great if you are doing that, congratulations. We are not saying that you shouldn't. Like, it's just we don't like that approach. Like we don't focus on tools, we focus on creating learning experiences for students, like using those tools in a way that pedagogy makes sense. Like you cannot just go to a professional development and show the 10 new tips of blank, like it could be, I don't know, Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, whatever tool, right? Like, because the teacher is gonna go back to the classroom and say like, now what? I don't know what to do, right? Like, so you need to provide to those teachers like a way, for example, to use Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, to create meaningful experience and to engage students in a blended learning environment, for example, or like an online environment. You need to help those teachers to create all of those learning experiences, and that is super, super important.
So pretty much we do from coaching to teachers, one-to-one, all the way to full like cultural, really important cultural and digital transformation of schools or institutions. So we really believe that by the right use of technology, we can change a lot of things. we really believe that technology allows us to create learning experiences that we couldn't even imagine 20 years ago. So that's what we believe in, using that technology in a meaningful way, as Mario was saying, to create these learning environments. To give you an example, when all this like COVID happened, the pandemic, everyone or pretty much everyone went online. A lot of people were offering PDs on um, 10 best features of Microsoft Teams, and we were focusing on, okay, how to use those features to engage the learners online. It's not just what you can do with Microsoft Teams, it's how you use Microsoft Teams or whatever to create these meaningful learning experiences, these meaningful learning environments where you can engage the student, or you can develop the 21st century skills or the future ready skills of the student, not just the tool, what you can do with the tool.
And pretty much also focus on a student-centered approach, just like how to transfer that power from the teacher to the student, like how teachers can talk less in their lessons and have students just creating all of that, just giving them some purpose, giving them the tools to be able to explore that content. Through podcasting, we have like a sessions on podcasting, filmmaking,
A lot of
PBL, project-based learning, whatever is related to PBL, like we love that as well. So like it's just, we offer like a wide variety of professional development, but not just focus on the tool or on the like a technology part.
Excellent. I love that. And I just want to give a shout out to Alex Isaacs, also, who's joining us, and Josh Tovar. And Alex right here, says, I like the idea of focusing on the end goal and then creating the experience with the tech tool. There you go. That's really great. And you're absolutely right. And these are things that are out there. And, yes, we need to know the tools. And recently I kind of started even changing the language as far as even saying like tools. It's rather like more of, you need to know your instrument, because oftentimes, you can go from tool to tool. If I bring out a hammer, I'm going to use it one time and it's going to solve my problem. But for platforms, I really like to really dive in deep to a lot of platforms and see the possibilities that it has, and even creating ways of using it maybe how it wasn't intended to, but it still works for what you're trying to do and you're trying to achieve. And I think now with so much tech, a lot of teachers can be very overwhelmed, and a lot of teachers also get very excited that they just hop from platform to platform to platform to platform, when sometimes even some of the platforms may do the exact same thing, but because of one additional little button that really doesn't add to the pedagogy or anything at all, or to the final result, but because of that one little thing, they go into that. And for myself, it's always, you need to learn the platform as an instrument. And what I mean by that is, when you're doing piano or guitar lessons, you really need to know your scales, the theory behind it, how it's going to work, and the beautiful melody that if you practice, the beautiful melody that you can create, and you can be that composer in your classroom to lead your students, as that conductor, where they take off and they start building their melodies. And then so oftentimes it's like we have a bag of tools, and I've got one tool for this and one tool for that and one tool for this and one tool for that. And it could be very overwhelming. But like I said, I absolutely love your practice, and I love that thinking process, the end goal in mind, and seeing how you can actually really embed that practice to enhance learning experiences.
Yes,
So
I'm sorry for interrupting, but like what you said is super, super important. Just focusing on the approach and not the tool. Just using as an instrument, to learn everything else. I remember one district that they wanted to use a platform. I'm not going to say the name, but they wanted to use a platform for individualized learning, and they contact us and they were like, okay, we want you to teach us teachers how to use this platform, coach them for individualized learning. And we were like, well, you started off like very wrong. Like first, just have your teachers in a professional development, like you need to train your teachers in all of the individualized learning approaches or strategies that are possible. And then you need to give your teachers these 10, 15, 20 different strategies for individualized learning that they can use with paper and pencil easily. Once they have mastered that, once they know how to use that approach, those strategies with, without technology, now is when you can just implement the platform, because now it's going to be super easy for them. They're going to keep doing the same that they did before using those strategies, but now you have the tool to empower all of that.
Pedagogy always comes 1st.
Mhm.
Always comes first.
Exactly. So I love that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all. And this has been just an amazing, amazing conversation. And I'm really excited, guys, seriously, for this next endeavor that you're doing, which is something that you've already been doing, but now you're dedicating your time to it and to your craft and to the wonderful things that you're doing as far as implementing digital transformation, now the Language Academy, and all the multiple ways that you are able to help our educators to continue to grow and to sprinkle on that amazing, awesome sauce that you guys bring to what they already do great and take it to the next level. So as always, I'm very thankful for each and every single one of you, for what you're doing. So keep doing the great work. And I do want to say I will probably be seeing you in Houston at that conference, because I'm definitely going to make my way up there to go and do some more learning. And of course, getting to see some wonderful people such as yourself, and seeing you all in real life and sharing some of that new My EdTech life swag for you all.
We would love to have some. We have the one that you gave us in TCA, so hopefully in TCCA we can get some more.
Oh yeah, of course, most definitely. All right, guys, but before we wrap up, this is one of my favorite segments of the show, and of course, it's for my friend Josh, who's right here. He says, "Drop the crypto carnal billboard and everything." So this is his favorite segment here, and so I guess what we'll do is we'll take turns, because it may be different for both, or maybe if you do agree, then you can just say, "Okay, yeah, I agree with that." But right now, question number one that I always love to ask is, in the current state of education, what would you say is your current edu kryptonite?
So what we don't like, or what we don't know?
No, what
Do.
yeah, like what you don't like. What is it that
Oof,
makes you
man,
weak? Kind of like Superman, like they bring that kryptonite and it just
yeah.
makes him weak, and you're like, oh no, 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 I don't want,
To me, textbooks, I just don't like. I don't believe that just one material can be good for like 100,000 students across the country. I think it's a good beginning, but to me, textbooks is sometimes they harm more than help. My own opinion.
And this is a controversial opinion, but like
My opinion was controversial too, I think.
Standardized tests. Like, I'm not saying they are not needed. Like, of course, we need a tool to be able to measure where our students are, and we need a tool to be able to see if what we are doing is working. But I don't believe that the standardized tests are designed in a way that they prove if a student is failing or not. There are many things, because you don't know your science curriculum, it doesn't mean that you're a bad student. There are so many things that a standardized test doesn't grade, and more important than the science curriculum, for sure. And they don't measure that. So we are telling a student that it's not good enough to be able to be in that grade or in our education system, when that student maybe is excelling at other things that test doesn't measure.
If we go back to, I don't know if you have read the report that it is called The Future of Jobs, is by the World Economic Forum, and they grade the top 10 skills that the students will need in the future to succeed in our society and in their job as well. And if we look at those 10 top skills, like all the standardized tests that our students are taking right now, they don't measure any of those skills that are going to be in the top 10 for the next 20, 30 years. So if we put those together, we realize that we are doing something wrong.
Excellent. Oh, great answers. I love it. And I agree with both of you on those 100%. Now, before we go to the next question, I want to address Alex Isaacs. He had a question here.
Mm-hmm. We can start our own show now.
You guys have your own show. Sorry about that. I clicked the wrong button here, but I wanted to address Alex Isaacs here, who had a question that says, how do you balance promotion on socials considering you have individual and joint accounts?
Well, that's such a great question.
That's such a great question. We struggled at the beginning about that. And I think more like when we do content together, all everything goes to the joint account. Like we post on our Instagram, we create videos, we write blog posts, we are gonna go to any event. All that goes to a joint account, and we retweet using our individuals. But when there is something individual, for example, I've been researching about a topic, and I find that really, really cool document or report I want to share, I share that with my own account because I've been working on that. If Mario reads an article really interesting about whatever gamification, for example, he goes and posts it.
Or when we used to teach, like for example, if I did something in my classroom, that it was very cool, a project that I wanted to share, like it was on my own account.
It's a good question. It was hard to find the balance, honestly.
There you go. Well, there you go, Alex. Thank you so much for that question. Wonderful question. All right, here we go. The next question, gentlemen. And so I'm going to have two answers here. All right. And this time we'll go ahead and start with Mario, and then we'll go with Alberto. But the question is, if you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it be and why?
Like related to education?
It could be related to anything.
Like give me $1 million.
It could be anything. It could be anything.
My Venmo handle.
My Venmo handle, yeah.
Donate.
Hey. I don't know. I would say I really like a sentence related to education that it's something like let's stop teaching thinking in the past and start teaching thinking in the future. Because I really think that it's like we are very stuck in the future and like in the past, and like we are already teaching, like for my opinion, 10 years behind where we should be. So if we think about that, in relation with all of the skills and like working places, like there's like a 30 years gap, because like if we are teaching right now, looking at the past, like how we used to teach 10 years ago, and those students are going to graduate from high school in 15 years, that means that it's like a 25 years gap that our students are going to go to to their workplace, to find a job with a 25 years gap. So I think we really need to fix that.
Ooh, I like that. That's really great.
Yeah.
And also, it's like we could have another hour talking about this, but universities, colleges around the country need to stop thinking in the past and stop teaching the future teachers, or
what the things we used to do.
Yeah, or like teaching them, or kind of like training those future teachers with the things that we used to do, because we are getting new teachers that they don't know how to teach thinking in the future.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. How about you, Alberto?
To me, stop fighting. I think it will be the mind. Like in the last 5-6 years, we've seen a lot of fighting over social media, over like pretty much everything. So, and we really believe in kindness. So I think like it's not that hard to be kind. It's not that hard to try to listen at each other. It's not that hard to try to understand other people's point of view. And I think sometimes as teachers, we ask students to do something that we as adults, we don't do, right? We ask students to be kind, to not yell at each other, to be empathetic, to try to understand other people's point of view. And we as adults, we don't do it, right? We cannot ask a student to be kind by yelling at them, if there is. So I think like that would be mine. Trying to, as adults, to be the example, the role model of the students.
And I like that comment. Can we make you a question? Can we answer you one question each?
Yes, actually. So that's the next question.
Okay.
So usually the way that we end the show is now let's pretend that this was the eTwinz podcast this morning, and I was a guest. I was a guest on the eTwinz show, and so I always ask my guests, what would be one question you'd like to ask me if I was your guest? So this time we'll start with Alberto, and then we'll go to Mario. So Alberto, what would be one question you'd like to ask me if I was on the eTwinz podcast?
My question would be, if you can pick just one thing you can do the rest of your life as your job, something that makes you super happy, your dream job. Like there is this quote that people say that when you work in something that you really, really are passionate about, and it doesn't seem like a job, right? So what's that for you? Something that makes you happy every day, that would make you wake up super excited every day.
Honestly, it's gonna be this: doing a
Yes.
podcast, doing a show, doing it. If I could do this for a living, and because I love to connect and meeting people such as yourselves that are passionate, and just really giving a platform to all types of educators from different backgrounds, just to share their voice and share their ideas. I know that the internet is huge and we have so many ways of sharing things on social media, but sometimes just to be able to give them an extra place where they can go and just open up and be sincere about their thoughts behind education, about how they see education, how it should move forward in the future, or even how to help others based on their experiences. This right here would be it, mainly just connecting educators, education professionals, and creators one show at a time. Every Saturday morning, I wake up and I'm like, I get to do something that I love, that disconnects me from, my real job, and this actually relaxes me. And I love what I learn because I become a better person by it. And countless of other thousands of listeners that watch or listen to the show take what you say and they find that little gem, that little nugget, that little inspiration that for many of them could be that little spark that they need to continue to fan that flame, or can actually be that gasoline that just turns them on again to the world of education and lights up that passion again. So for me, this would be it. This right here, what we're doing, this would be it.
That's
That's
awesome.
amazing.
That's a great answer.
Thank you. All right, Mario, your turn. Do you have a question for me?
Yeah, of course. Like, if you could interview, you have two interviews. One interview, like you can interview someone from the past, like could be death, like it could be like someone from history, like a very
Mhm.
important in history, or whoever you want. Who would that be? And then you have another opportunity to interview someone who's alive, like at present time. Like who those two people, who would they be?
That's a good question. I've never thought about that one as far as who from the past or somebody that is deceased who I would like to interview. Um, Actually, no. You know what? I would just really love to interview Albert Einstein. And that's the first person that came to mind right now, just because he was seen as somebody that was very different, very unusual, very different thoughts and ideas during that time. And let's be honest, for yourselves, myself, and other countless educators that are out there, sometimes even within our own, I don't want to say family, but like our own schools, maybe even our own families may think like, man, this guy is like way out there. And so I just love his thought process, the way that he just, went against the grain. And oftentimes that's not really well received. And so I would love to interview him and ask him what his thoughts were, like what would go through his mind when he would propose either his theories or he would share things, and you get people saying like, oh, this guy is nuts, this guy is crazy, because they just didn't understand at the time, or they didn't make it a point to want to understand. And oftentimes we just don't give people that opportunity to try and understand where they're coming from and see things through their lens. And I think oftentimes we would learn more about that, as far as holding off on passing judgment quickly and really listen to what they're trying to say and getting to the root of what they're sharing. And that could be something that would be great. So that would be my one from the past, Albert Einstein. My one from now that I would love to interview, and I've said it several times, and I'm hoping that one day she'll listen and hear the podcast, or somebody maybe that may know her or something, is Kathy Hackle. Kathy Hackle is a woman who is an amazing innovator. She is very well known in the metaverse space and Web3 space. She is one of the forefront women in tech when it deals with that space. And they even named her or dubbed her the godmother of the metaverse because of the work that she's doing. And why I would love to interview her is just because of the ideas and the experiences that she has, but also because I would just love to ask her as well to see if we can work on making that connection with education. I feel like there's many educators that are out there, that are trying to bring in or tie in the Web3 space into education, and it's going great. The conversations are there, but I think that within educators, we always need to use our resources. So why not go to the top of the top, the people that are already there, even though it may be in a business setting, but just to glean their ideas and see how we can marry them with education. Because I love what Mario was saying. We need to start teaching our teachers and our kids for the future, and not, still teach them the way that we learned in the past. So those would be my two favorite interviews that I would love to do.
So if we ever meet her, we'll tell her. Like,
Yes, please. If you ever meet her, please tell her. I know that she goes to Spain often. I know I follow her on LinkedIn, and she's always posting where she's meeting, with wonderful leaders. So if you ever run into her, or just say, "Hey, there's this guy in Texas that has been wanting to interview you," that would be great.
that'd be
That'd
awesome.
be awesome. Can you
Well,
imagine? That'd be
so
awesome.
thank you so much, Mario and Alberto. I really appreciate your time. More than anything, honestly, I appreciate your passion, because what you do and what you continue to do really helps me as an educator to continually get inspired, to continually try and innovate my practice, and more importantly, to continue to learn from different perspectives. And I definitely learned a lot today that I can sprinkle onto my practice to continue to grow and bring that knowledge also to our teachers, that way they can have an impact on students. So thank you so much. And before we go, Mario, Alberto, please let our audience members know that are watching right now currently, or they'll be rewatching or re-listening, what's the best way that they can go ahead and get in contact with you?
So I would say our two websites. One is eTwinz.com, ETWINZ.com.
Explain why is Z, because a lot of people say, why are you guys are not eTwins with S? So
it's because our two last names, like we are Herraez, like Herraz, and our second last name is Velázquez, which both of them ends in Z's. Z's, so that's why like we put like eTwinz with a Z, because it's like and then like we are from Spain, so our Z is like this sound, like zapato, and you guys say zapato, so it's something that is different as well. So that has like a lot of meaning. So yeah, eTwinz.com for our consulting website, and then the academy is eTwinzacademy.com. So those are the two websites. So if you want to learn Spanish, just contact us, and we offer a free class. Like you can try it out, and maybe you say, okay, this is not for me, like I didn't enjoy it or whatever, but it's, like just give it a try and see if you want to learn Spanish with us.
Also, if you are an institution that you want to externalize the language department, we do that. And for the consulting part, all our upcoming events are in our website. So if we are going next to you where you live, you can always like travel or sign up for that conference and see us presenting there. Also, if you want to bring us to your district or your institution, just contact us through our website.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Mario and Alberto. It has been an honor and a pleasure. And to all of you that joined us today, Alex Isaacs, Josh Tovar, Amanda Macias, I know Mel was here, Melissa Summerford. Thank you so much. And to all of those that will be listening to the show afterwards or watching the show, thank you as always. Please make sure that you share it. Make sure that you follow us on all socials at myedtech.life on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Make sure you visit our website also, myedtech.life, where you can catch this episode and all our previous episodes that I guarantee you that you will find something wonderful and great for your education practice that you can sprinkle onto what you're already doing great. And as always, thank you for your support. Please make sure you visit our store. We have a sale that's going on through Sunday, 20% off on all of your orders, 20% off. So make sure you support our mission and our vision and our passion to connect educators and creators one show at a time. Go ahead and pick yourself up a cap or a shirt. That way you can contribute to this mission and be part of this mission, because everybody that contributes is part of my EdTech life. As I say, this is a wonderful and the best PLF, my personal learning family. And I thank you all, as always, from the bottom of my heart for all of your support. So thank you guys for joining us today. And until next time, my friends, don't forget, stay techie. We'll see you all next time.
Bye.